Welcome to Just Curious Media. This is Let's Talk Cobrakai. I'm Jason Connell.
And I'm Sal Rodriguez.
All right, Sal, we are back for an incredibly special episode.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this because I feel like this is long overdue.
Long overdue.
Not on my radar, but of course on yours. So yeah, you brought this to my attention, and yeah, I agree. We need to do this.
We need to do this, and we're doing this. And that is a filmography for John G. Avildsen, director of The Karate Kid. Ooh, bravo. Ow! Rest in peace to John G. Avildsen, but also thank you, John G. Avildsen. This is a celebratory podcast and long overdue, reason being back on episode 68. This is episode 157, so keep this in mind.
Oh, my God.
Episode 68, we did a filmography of Robert Mark Kamen, writer of The Karate Kid. And we loved it. That was a great episode. And I remember saying in that episode, spot check me somebody, we got to come back and do this on Avildsen. Well, here we are. It just took a few hundred episodes to do. Now, other things happened, and I knew this was going to be a lot to bite off and do, and I wanted to kind of be in the right place and space and time. We don't have episodes from the show happening right now, that being Cobrakai. That's a whole other system when that's going. We're like banging those out. And I felt like this is long overdue. I was looking up some things the other day. There's something we're going to get into this episode. There's a documentary on him that came out in 2017. Yes. I watched the trailer the other day, and I just got so inspired. I was like, you know what? Now's the time. And here we are, Sal. So thank you for joining me and being as excited as I am to explore this together.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. I really am. I think it's overdue, and I'm excited to get into it.
Okay. Well, let's start at the beginning, shall we?
Always the beginning.
Always the beginning. John G. Avildsen was born in 1935. He spent his formative years in Oak Park, Illinois. In 1956, he earned his bachelor's degree from the prestigious Hotchkiss School. Later in 1962, he completed his undergraduate studies at New York University, where he honed his passion for film and storytelling. So I figured a backstory is really good. Just a couple paragraphs, but it sets the stage because we know his work, but now we can know more about the man and other work that we're not familiar with. If you are, or some of our fans aren't. He had other movies, but obviously he touched us with two just touchstones in the industry, and they'll be with us forever, for generations to come. So in the early stages of his career, Avildsen directed a series of low-budget films, slowly gaining recognition for his work. His breakthrough came in 1976 when he directed
Rocky.
Which
I tried to say it like Sylvester Stallone, but I didn't do a good job.
That's okay.
Rocky. Like you know why? Because Sylvester Stallone never says Rocky.
His own name. Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Exactly. So yes, he directed Rocky, which would go on to become a cultural phenomenon, honestly. I mean, I was a kid, and I was moved by it. Like, it would just come on. I didn't see it in the theater, but I saw it on HBO, and once you watch it once, it's just like you're addicted. Then boxing movies became in vogue, and I've loved them ever since.
Jason, can I just say this?
Please.
I'm proud to say it, but I'm also embarrassed to say it, and that is I did not jump on the Rocky train until Rocky IV. It was not until Rocky IV that I jumped on the Rocky train.
We have to end this podcast now. I need
Good night, America.
That's it. Wow, Sal, I was not aware of that. By then, I was old hat to the Rocky franchise and enjoying every single one of the installments. The highlight ending at 4. Okay, I went on and enjoyed others, but 1 through 4 were really just in my wheelhouse. Cultural phenomenon. With Avildsen's masterful direction of the film, it established him as a prominent figure in Hollywood. You come out of nowhere, obscurity, low-budget films, and you make Rocky in your youth. I mean, he's, early filmmaking. Every studio is probably calling him, Sal, like, hey, how do I get one of those? You want to come in here? So then all of a sudden you have all this, you went from nothing to overwhelmed with options, right? And we're going to go through his filmography too, but I wanted to give this backstory and then delve into each movie. Like 10 of them I've highlighted.
I feel like we've seen this before where you have a young director
Yep.
and somebody has to take a chance on them. Somebody has to believe in them,
Mm-hmm.
give them an opportunity against the odds. Oftentimes the studio's like, what? No.
Yeah.
But somebody believes in them and they become history. I'm thinking of Steven Spielberg when I talk about this.
And a lot of the people you're talking about, referencing, in the 70s. That was a great era in film, and I've studied it just in nauseam. I love 70s cinema because that's what was happening. Hey, this is a risque movie, Rocky's not risque, but there was a lot of dark, tragic movies happening then. Chinatown, these things where it's like, whoa, okay, Harold and Maude, Easy Rider, that was in the 60s. And then you're getting these young filmmakers, these auteurs who could make this thing sing, had a good cast, and they were becoming these hits that probably wouldn't even be green-lighted today. That's what makes the 70s so special. And maybe Rocky would have been, but it may not have had the tone that it ultimately had, right? And let's not forget, he loses in Rocky. They would probably want to change it now. Nah, you got to win. And so that's what I mean by tragic. It's like, oh, it's great, but he did lose. It wasn't afraid to kind of hold back and not make you feel like always the victor. So amazing time. And here's Avildsen in it. He's one of these filmmakers. So now he's gone from obscurity to a prominent figure. And in 1984, Avildsen, they say you can't, lightning doesn't strike twice. Well, in Avildsen's case, he directed The Karate Kid, which was also a massive commercial and critical success. And it solidified his reputation as a director who could capture the human spirit and the underdog's journey. And I think that's just, we talk about it all the time. John G. Avildsen, Rocky and Karate Kid, that's the connection. But let's take a step back away from just talking about The Karate Kid or Cobra Kai. Think about what he did. And it wasn't just him. It's not a solo journey. It's a director of a lot of pieces. Stallone writes Rocky. The making of Rocky is incredible. Kamen writes The Karate Kid. But Avildsen was stewarding the ship. And he creates these two masterpieces. And they have lived on, Sal, for so many sequels, and I'm sure and now they're spinoffs and things are happening, but they hold true today as they ever did. And that's just, as an artist, as a creator, you want to leave your mark. And then you want it to be sustainable. And I don't know of that many filmmakers that have done it this effectively. No, he doesn't have 20 or 30 of these, but he's got two, and they're two of the best.
Yeah. What you did is you spawned a legacy. So you spawned
a legacy,
something that outlives you. Is what happens.
Exactly.
It outlives you. It grows beyond you. I'm thinking of names like J. Paul Getty. These people, their life transcends their own life. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And grows beyond them. Yeah, those are some people held in high regard.
And you mentioned one as well, Spielberg. Obviously, Steven Spielberg is top of the food chain, as much as I also love Kubrick and Scorsese, but Spielberg made a huge impact on all of us.
Sure.
And younger generations, older generations, it's beyond him as well. And he's, there's only a few that have done it that many times. But Avildsen's in that, in that story, in that group. But he made these two amazing, I'll call them franchises.
Sure.
Two amazing franchises, but at the core of that, two masterpieces.
Jason, the word that comes to mind, or the phrase that comes to mind, is the Midas touch. Some people have the Midas touch. They really do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find my Midas touch.
I've got a little Midas touch, or a tickle. He was a wonderkin, Goldfinger. Now, sadly, Avildsen died of pancreatic cancer at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles on June 16th. My sister's birthday, 2017, and he was 81.
Jason, this
makes
me very sad. It makes me very sad.
I know.
He never Cobra Kai.
I know. He passes away before Cobra Kai launches. He had a good run, Sal. He made incredible movies and got to enjoy the fruits of his labor because he was younger when he makes Rocky. So hopefully, I always think positively. They had this great ride. He made these other movies along the way, riding that success and touching others. And everything I've read and seen about him, Sal, is that he was such a gentle soul as well. He wasn't this dictator on a set. He was a genuine person. And so we're going to save this, but the trailer I'm going to play for the documentary, which I have not seen, you have not seen, but the trailer's impactful, loaded with talent, all that loved working with him, singing his praises, or just admirers or other filmmakers who were like, oh my gosh, Avildsen, of course, he's one of the best. But let's go through a filmography now, his filmography, and not every single movie, just some beats along the way, and talk a little bit about them, obviously with most emphasis on the two that really move the needle.
Yes, and the two that have action figures. I don't know.
Oh yeah, hey, bring it.
What other Avildsen movies have action figures besides Rocky and Karate Kid? I'd like to know.
That is a good question. That's how you know you've made it. Do I have any action figures out there?
Jason, I tell you the truth. From the time I was a kid, I always imagined that when you had an action figure made of you, that was as big as you could get.
Good as it gets. So we already talked about one, and we can talk more about it, but the 1976 classic Rocky. He directs this wonderful movie that never dies. And this is the synopsis, straight from IMDb. A small-time Philadelphia boxer gets a supremely rare chance to fight the world heavyweight champion in a bout in which he strives to go the distance for self-respect. Yeah, that's right, because I have not seen Rocky in a while. I did go see, Rocky IV, the recut in the theater, Ivan Drago, or, that whole Rocky IV, Ivan, what is it? Sorry, what is it? It's Ivan Drago versus Rocky versus Drago.
Yes.
It's Rocky versus Drago.
Yeah, they renamed it,
yeah.
I think.
So I went to the theater and saw, well, actually the screening failed, so then I had to go home and bought it, but Rocky IV, Rocky versus Drago. And so to see that again with new scenes was really cool, and I was starting to watch them again, but I haven't seen the original in a while. But yeah, he gets this weird little opportunity to fight for the heavyweight title and Apollo Creed, and the rest is history. But he was probably, and he was, overlooked to make this movie. Other people were probably on the radar, like, oh, yeah, and here comes this kid. Well, Avildsen's got the right sensibility, and there's Stallone. He writes the script for himself because no one wanted to hire Stallone. He's not that big. He's built short. He's got a thick accent. He's been in movies, but he's not going to get his dream role. So what's he do? He goes home and writes it. So just the making of is an incredible story about the human spirit. And then they captured it in this movie, Sal. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that Stallone had a lot to do with the choosing of Avildsen.
Yes.
Right? It wasn't just like they showed up and said, oh, hey, guess what, Stallone? This guy is directing your film.
Yeah, he's your director. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I think that says a lot about Avildsen when, we all know the story, or most of us know the story of the regard that Stallone had for Rocky.
Yeah.
That was his baby. That was his actual baby. And he trusted Avildsen with his baby. So there's a lot to be said for Avildsen and Stallone, the trust that he was able to give to Avildsen.
Right. I'm going to bring the poster up here as well. So there it is.
That's the original poster?
Well, it's the poster now that you see on IMDb. I can't say it's the original or not, but it's a nice poster. Really
it's
beautiful.
Beautiful, but it definitely makes it seem more like a love
Describe
story.
it, Sal, for the listeners.
Well, you see Rocky walking hand in hand with Adrian, right? That's who that is.
And he's got the boxing shorts on, and he's just probably finished his bout.
Yes. That's as a fight fan, those moments after the fight, you see these, every now and again you get to see some backstage after a loss. Yeah. And you see the spouse with the fighter.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So, that's a very tender moment. But like I said, it kind of gives it almost a different tone when you look at the poster there.
Yeah. Just a quick hit list on the Academy Awards for Rocky, okay? I had to go to IMDb and just look at this again. I was like, hold on, what? So, wins Best Picture, right? Boom, Best Picture, Rocky. Amazing. It's never going to lose that. It's always going to be the Academy Award winner. Nominated, Sylvester Stallone for Best Actor.
I didn't
So if
know
I say
that.
nominated, they didn't win. So yeah, nominations
I
aren't
didn't know
wins,
he was
but
nominated.
He was nominated. I'm just going to go in order here. Talia Shire, who plays his wife, Adrian, also nominated for Best Actress.
Wow.
Burgess Meredith plays Mick. Rocky your bum.
Yeah.
He was nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role.
Wow.
Burt Young plays Polly,
Mm-hmm.
Adrian's older brother, who is kind of a drunk, and then he wins you over. He's really charming, has a lot of charisma, and Rocky and him finally kind of bond. He's so good in the movie. He was nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. So that's 4 nominations. No wins, but that's solid.
Wait, hang on, Jason. You had Burt Young versus Burgess Meredith?
Yeah.
2 actors from the same movie?
Isn't that crazy? Yes. Yeah.
That's not
well. Sometimes
so
actors
common,
go
is
against
it?
themselves. I've seen actors go against themselves.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh
yes.
my God! Wow, very cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. So anyway, moving on, we have Best Director, John G. Avildsen, winner. 1 for Best Director, 1 for Best Picture. A lot of nominations for the actors. Best Writing nominated, and that goes to Sylvester Stallone. Best Screenplay. Best Sound, it was nominated for an Oscar. Best Film Editing, winner for an Oscar, Richard Halsey and Scott Conrad. And Bill Conti.
Nice.
Nominated, not a win, but nominated for Best Original Song, Best Music. And the lyrics were Carol Connors and Ann Robbins. And the song, of course, was Gonna Fly Now. Remember that song?
Wait, which one was that?
Gonna fly now.
Ah, yes. Yes, okay. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just get goosebumps when I hear that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was the name of the song.
So, very cool. Here's just a couple little tidbits before we move on to the next movie. Most of the scenes of the Rocky jogging through Philadelphia were shot guerrilla style with no permits, no equipment, no extras, just running, gunning. Here's a young filmmaker. We got to get this shot. In fact, I even read that he got the guy that invented the Steadicam, right? And it hadn't even been used yet, except for him messing around, like filming, like I think his wife or something. And he had this idea and was working with the Steadicam, and she was running up some stairs. And he had this cool Steadicam shot, that you can move the camera, but it looks just so different. It's such a good look, especially for the time. And that became the great sequence using the Steadicam for Stallone, Rocky, running up the steps in the museum and doing the famous...
Yeah.
Jumping around until the song is playing. So there it is. Bill Conti's Bill Conti's original song, Gonna Fly Now, wasn't named. It had no title. And John G. Avildsen was meeting with him and said, it's almost like Rocky is flying now. And then it became Gonna Fly Now.
Wow. Very cool trivia.
Gonna fly now.
Yeah, and it's like a chorus, right?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Wow.
And then John G. Avildsen was so excited about the film, getting hired to direct the film, he reduced his usual salary to about $30,000. But, Sal, with a percentage of the profits.
That's the Tom Cruise deal.
That's the thing that made him some money. I don't know how much. $30,000 will come and go. It could have been $300,000. But a percentage of Rocky's profits... And I hope that's the subsequent sequels. I don't know, man. Although he didn't direct them all, so. But even the original.
Jason,
inflation calculator. This.
No. I'm very stupid. I should not take Just Curious Media's salary.
No.
Instead, should have went for the percentage.
He should have went for the percentage. It's too late. It's all closed. Incredible. So well done. I'm so happy that we have Rocky in our lexicon, in our world, it's in my heart.
Yes, and
playing that song just evokes
amazing
all these
action figures
memories.
From various makers.
Oh, amazing action figures, the best.
Beautiful action figures by NECA, by Jakks Pacific. Beautiful action figures, 7-inch scale. I think they also released like a special 12-inch. Oh no, you know what it was? I think it was like a special Rambo action figure is what it was. I think it's Sylvester
No.
Stallone was talking about his Rambo figure.
Now you're
It
doing
wasn't about-
crossovers.
I am
You're
doing a
some
crossover. No,
stuff over there.
Yeah, it wasn't. I thought that he had like a special 12-inch Rocky figure. I don't think that I've seen that one yet.
Just Curious Media has not been paid for these endorsements that Sal's dropping. So now we're going to go to another movie. Again, it's not necessarily in order. There was a couple in between, but these are memorable movies to me and others. And not necessarily a high point, okay? I'm not afraid to show some of the, the low points. But
Yes.
Neighbors, here it is, 1981. Yes. I always loved this movie because I was a huge John Belushi, rest in peace, and Dan Aykroyd fan. And this is dark comedy. Before I knew what dark comedy
Dan Aykroyd's
was,
in it too?
They're both in it.
Oh, wow.
But they did a role reversal, meaning Belushi, in hindsight, probably should have been the over-the-top guy, and Aykroyd's more of the straight-laced. But they flipped. They flipped the script, Sal.
Yes.
They pulled a Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, I should say, and they went against the norm. And also, so Avildsen was brought in. Here's hot gun for hire. Hey, work with these two stars from SNL. They're blowing up, right? And the synopsis is, a quiet man's peaceful suburban lifestyle is threatened by the new obnoxious couple that moves next door. So I read a book about John Belushi called Wired, written by Bob Woodward, who was of Woodward and Bernstein, who cracked, the Nixon scandal, and it became a great movie, All the President's Men. So this book came out in the 80s, and it was really a whole story of John Belushi, and I was fascinated by it, leading up to his death at the Chateau Marmont, doing speedball, cocaine, and heroin mix. And I was a kid thinking, what? I didn't understand some of that stuff, but I was fascinated by the story. In the book, they talk about the making of Neighbors, told by Bob Woodward, accounts of other people he spoke to. And this isn't a book, I don't know, but I read that Avildsen was insistent on shooting it in order. And movies, for those non-filmmakers out there, things aren't really in sequence.
Yes.
Like, we're going to do this today, we're going to do some pickup shots over there. But it was like kind of confined to this location, this house and this little neighborhood. I'm sure it was on a back lot, or I'm not sure actually. But it was interesting that then that created some tension. There was a lot of fighting. John Belushi, who had a well-known drug problem, who had cleaned up for Continental Divide, which is a great movie that came out the year prior, fell off the wagon, Sal. Aykroyd has gone and said this publicly. So he's back doing the drugs, unreliable. And when I say drugs, a lot of cocaine. Mm-hmm. So the set was just a party set. I'm sure there was a lot of friction. Avildsen's coming from a whole other background. And it didn't create the best movie. But memorable movie, bizarre movie, and I highly recommend checking it out. But I kind of put this together later because I'd already seen The Karate Kid, and I already liked Avildsen as a, preteen or an early teen. But was always like, wow, Neighbors is this weird thing. It's like Spielberg has 1941. Love it or hate it. It's kind of a blemish. But you go back and watch it and you can appreciate a few things. Kind of like The Karate Kid Part 3 or the next Karate Kid. Like you're looking for something to hang on to. So Neighbors, check it out if you haven't seen it. But Avildsen was at the helm.
Jason, can I share this with you? Because it just occurred to me just now when I look back on my life.
Yeah.
I think my whole life I thought that Neighbors was a David Lynch movie. Because I think it had that weird tone. It had that Eraserhead weird tone.
It has a weird tone. It does.
So because of that, until this very moment, right here with you,
I set the record straight.
We did. I thought it was David Lynch. I just thought it was a weird movie from back in the 80s that was like weird like Eraserhead. I never thought this was John G. Avildsen.
Well, and again, it got into the studio. They were editing it. They were, when you have something that's just not working, you just start tinkering. There's weird music. There's weird sound effects. It's just you have this thing and you got to finish it. And they couldn't just bury it. So for that, I appreciate it for what it is. What it could have been a really great movie, and it just wasn't. So, and there was like rewrites and creative differences and whatever. The list goes on and on and on. So after that, low point, but you're still king of the hill because you created Rocky. The Karate Kid, 1984. And I love the synopsis on IMDb. I've never seen one this tight and this streamlined. A martial arts master agrees to teach karate to a bullied teenager. That's it. It says it all. But this would go on and just touch generations at the time. This would go on and just warm America's heart. It probably, I can't see the numbers, but it probably had a huge impact on kids enrolling into martial arts and karate across America and beyond.
Yeah, I would imagine
it was just amazing, and in every way, it's a masterpiece. It's the reason Cobra Kai is successful. If you didn't have this, Sal, there is no Cobra Kai. You needed something so strong that the fruits of it can then go off and fall off the tree and create something else great. If you don't have that, you're not going to get the other thing. Just go make something different. It's that great. And Avildsen made it happen with all the others. With, Bill Conti was back. You had Kamen, who was a very personal script to him, like Stallone was to him. So incredible. Yeah, and we'll never stop talking about it in our lifetime.
No, I think it's great, and I feel like the youngsters, need to know the origin story, the backstory, because you have a lot of young people that love Cobra Kai, and they may not know about the Avildsen legacy. They may not know about the Karate Kid legacy that predates Cobra Kai, and that spawned Cobra Kai. So no, I do think this is very important to fans of Cobra Kai, listeners and viewers.
And Netflix does a good job because they have the rights now to Cobra Kai, to put the original, the Karate Kid for sure, part 2 and part 3 a lot of times back in rotation. Because Netflix is funny about that. They work a movie like HBO used to be. Hey, see this movie this month and it's gone. Well, Netflix keeps bringing it there, I think, for the youngsters, like you're saying, or for people to revisit it who haven't seen the Karate Kid since they were, a kid.
Yeah.
So then comes the Karate Kid Part 2. So he didn't do Rocky 2. He didn't do Rocky 3. He didn't do Rocky 4. Stallone started directing those. So here you are. He's part of Karate Kid. Hey, you want to come back? Get the gang back together? We had a huge success. Jerry Weintraub pulling the strings, the producer. In fact, we've talked about this on our program before, but they were in production 10 days after the Karate Kid came out with the sequel.
There was
10
no break.
days. Hey, this is a hit. All right, guys, it's showtime. Let's get back in there. So
I would have been on board with that. I would imagine that if I were part of the gang and I was there at that moment, I would have been like, yes, let's do it. Let's go back. I'm ready.
And we're going to Okinawa, Hawaii, and we're going to do this movie and have some fun. And the synopsis for the Karate Kid Part 2, pulled from IMDb. Daniel accompanies his mentor, Mr. Miyagi, to Miyagi's childhood home in Okinawa. Miyagi visits his dying father and confronts his old rival, while Daniel falls in love and inadvertently makes a new rival of his own. Okay.
Jason, I'm a little disappointed. It doesn't really mention Yukie and Mr. Miyagi's love.
I know.
It talks about Daniel's love, but not about Miyagi's love.
That's right. Well, that's true. And no B.D. Wong reference either. That would have been nice.
Coming to the dance tonight.
I was waiting for it. Or no Sato reference by name.
Miyagi, come out.
Again, Bill Conti was back. And I'm not even getting into the cast, and I should, but I take it for a given. But Ralphmacchio, Patmorita, they're they're legends from these roles. Daniellarusso and Mr. Miyagi. I mean, amazing. But so many other performances are great. But those two stay with us. And then we move on to For Keeps, 1988. I don't know if you remember this movie or not, but this was a time that these types of movies were coming out. Here's a synopsis if you don't.
Yes.
After she gets pregnant, a teenage girl must decide whether she should keep the baby or not.
You know why, Jason? Because of Papa Don't Preach, I'm in trouble deep. Madonna put keeping the baby on the map.
I'm keeping the babe. In that video, her father, do you remember the video? Papa Don't Preach?
For some reason, I'm thinking of Captain Lou Albano, but that was with Cyndi Lauper.
Danny Aiello was her father.
Yes, that's right.
Whom I've met He passed away. Rest in peace, Danny
peace.
Aiello. He was a great guy. I met him at the Hoboken Film Festival. We hit it off. Gave me a hug. We had a good chat. He was such a nice man. Great presence. Great singer as well.
Wow, I didn't know
But
that.
he was in the video. And then also movies like She's Having a Baby in 9 months. There was a lot of she's pregnant, and
Sure.
it was just that time.
I think Baby Boom also.
Baby Boom. This one had Molly Ringwald in it. So she's coming off fame from the John Hughes movies.
Wow.
And here comes For Keeps. Written by, I got to throw this out there, Tim Kazurinsky, SNL writer. He was also in Neighbors as
I
an
remember
actor.
Tim Kazurinsky.
He was great. He was kind of
I
a funny.
watched him on SNL.
In fact, I always think he could have also been in Police Academies because he had a weird persona.
He did.
It was also written by Dennis DeClue. About Last Night and About Last Night remake. I wasn't sure if there was a remake, but yeah, so there's the tie-in. Neighbors, you have Avildsen. So, you're looking for projects, things that inspire you. You don't know what the next big thing's going to be. And For Keeps. I wouldn't say it's super memorable, but it's there. It's there in your filmography.
Well, you know what, Jason? You know why? Because right now in 2023, the phrase gig worker, we all know the phrase gig worker.
Sure.
But what we forget is gig worker isn't just small time. It could be big time. If you're a director, here we have a major director. You're still a gig worker. You're just a gig worker at another level. You're looking for the next gig.
Yeah. And maybe it's something that Tim, pitched to him, and he was like, yeah. And listen, when you make Rocky, Sal, and you make The Karate Kid, and The Karate Kid Part 2 was successful, you can do whatever you want. They're going to come to you with things. It's like, you know what? I kind of work with Tim, and I want to make For Keeps, and something smaller, less scale. Molly Ringwald, up and comer. This could be the next Pretty in Pink. I don't know. Let's do it. And hey, I need to revisit this movie because I just don't remember it. It kind of blends in with these other things, and also the Madonna video. So, I lose sight of this one.
Yeah.
Now, the next one I remember vividly, very powerful, Lean on Me, 1989.
I remember the title, but I don't remember the movie.
Well, the synopsis, the dedicated but tyrannical Joe Clark is appointed the principal of a decaying inner-city school he is determined to improve by any and all means.
Oh, Jason, he walked around with the bullhorn.
Yes.
That's right,
It was played, the lead, Joe Clark, was played by none other than the incredibly talented Morgan Freeman.
He's right,
That was a powerful movie. Also, around this time, we had movies like The Principal coming out with Jim Belushi, Stand and Deliver, which I cannot watch enough times. Edward James Olmos, that movie hits me every time. It's so powerful.
It's true, but what you find is you have these themes that will become popular, and then you have all these hit movies coming out of those those particular themes.
But this one was better than most. Better than The Principal, Stand and Deliver. They're not even the same. One's about like working with these kids in one class, while Joe Clark is cleaning up a school. I want to revisit this movie. I loved it then. I'm sure I'll love it now. Also, Lean on Me was a classic song, and then Club Nouveau did like a cool song in the 80s as well. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
They kind of brought it back in modern, in a modern way. Lean on Me had a lot of. I loved it. Club Nouveau. I don't know if it's in the movie. Oh, it is in the movie. It is.
No,
in the movie.
I don't know. I know the original. I think right. Lean on me when, and then I think they did like this, almost like We Are the World ensemble with many people. But the one you're talking about, I don't know if I remember that one. I'm gonna check that out. I do like the song. It's a great song.
Me. Oh, it's cool, man. Club Nouveau nails it. I have a link in there to the video.
I'm gonna check it out.
So check it out. Check it out. All right. So then, if that wasn't enough of Karate Kids, Avildsen's back for the third installment, The Karate Kid Part 3,
Jason,
1989.
I'm sorry, Jason. I feel like such an idiot. I forgot that Avildsen directed Karate Kid Part 3. I forgot.
This is an education for you, Sal.
I thought he had bailed after 2.
No.
Oh, my gosh.
And you know what they were doing for Avildsen at this point in time, Weintraub and everybody?
Blank checks is what they're giving him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm behind on my cue cards. There's the Karate Kid poster. Hold that thought. Hold that thought.
Yep.
There's the Karate Kid Part 2. Part Duh.
Yep.
For Keeps. Molly Ringwald there.
Nice.
Lean on Me. Look at him. Powerful poster.
Nice.
And the Karate Kid Part 3. We're up to speed here. So I think this was a payday.
Yeah.
Come back, do the third one. We're going to pay we get the crew back together. What can go wrong? What can go wrong, honestly? Well, we can all kind of phone it in some key points like the All Valley tournament. Oh, yeah, we need to put an All Valley in here. I'll tell you what. We don't have a lot of time. We got to spend this money. Let's just have Daniel fight one fight, win 1 point. We'll call it two-time champ. Okay. No, it's not Avildsen's fault. That's a collective decision. And even Daniellarusso, ralphmacchio, will agree there are things in the Karate Kid Part 3 that could have been done better. But I'm not throwing Avildsen under the bus. There's a lot of cool things to take away from the third installment. There really is. I've gone back and watched it now a lot more times. Teenage me hated it. I've learned to appreciate it. And now that there are characters that are in Cobra Kai, it's kind of taking it to a new level. So there's that.
Well, Jason, this brings to mind the whole idea of being a motion picture director. How much power does the director have? How much power does the director not have? Because obviously when we have a hit, we thank the director. But if we have a bomb, do we blame the director also?
Well, partly.
Okay, we do sometimes. But I mean, meanwhile,
like
you have the writer. Okay,
Yeah.
You have the writers, right? You have the studio, you have the producers, you have the actors, right? So it's such a collaborative effort. I never understood how you can watch a movie and give so much kudos to the director when it is such a collaborative effort.
But somebody is in charge. And sure, some producers have more power and weight than the director, but someone's got to be pulling it all together and ultimately responsible, unjustly or justly, and successfully or not. That's what happens. It happens in sports too. There's 11 people on the field in football. It's very complicated. The quarterback is going to get all the praise or all the blame. It's just true. It's true. Not all. I mean, if it was a kicker misses a kick, you can blame the kicker. But more often than not, it's your stars. And Avildsen, I don't blame him. I think the movie, like I just said, has definitely been redeemed and helped. But it wasn't the strongest effort. If the Karate Kid Part 3 was the Karate Kid, we're not having this discussion. There's no sequels. There's no spinoffs. There's no shows. I mean, it's just weak. It's a weak effort. But we love the characters so much, we'll join them on a bad day. Like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. But that's what happens also when everything's going good, Sal. Everything's going good. Listen, we can all get caught up with our own success. Oh, man, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not saying that's the case, but even in our own life, the minute you think you're the master of something, hello, you'll be challenged. You'll realize, oh, man, you'll get knocked down a peg, and this is what happened here. Oh, and here's the synopsis as well. Ostracized villain John Kreese attempts to gain revenge on mrmiyagi with the help of a Vietnam War comrade, the wealthy owner of a toxic waste disposal business.
Nice.
Dino or some craziness.
It doesn't even mention his name. It doesn't mention
no Terry Silver.
No, and Kreese is giving these orders from Tahiti.
Yeah, Tahiti. Yes. Classic. Good call. Again, Bill Conti was back, and Ralph Macchio and Patmorita were back. But I say go see it. Enjoy it for what it is. And again, Avildsen there. It does look the same, so that's nice. It's not like we look at a different part of the Karate Kid franchise and go, oh, yeah, that one just looks different. No, I appreciate that. They're shooting on film. The lighting's great. There's just the story is kind of where things start. Then comes, now my posters are in sync, Rocky V, 1990. I saw this in the theater. So the story here, let's do the synopsis. reluctantly retired from fighting, Rocky takes charge of Mickey's gym and agrees to train a young protege who's hungry for success. And that is one Tommy Morrison from Oklahoma was in that movie. He was Tommy Gunn in the movie.
Yeah.
And it was such a different vibe and tone from the original. And I think Stallone, having had a break after Rocky IV, a good break, and that was such a high to end on, that I don't know how it happened, but he got Avildsen back and probably was like, hey, this is going back to the roots. We're going back to Philly. Rocky's going back from being a champ to kind of humbled guy. Brings in Avildsen. And I saw it in the theater, and I was like, oh, man, I really wanted to love it. And the tone was different. Rocky doesn't have a big fight. He's got like a street fight, against Tommy Gunn. And, I probably should go back and revisit it. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I think our expectations were here, right? Like it's going to be a Rocky movie, and it was something different.
Well, because whenever I think of a street fight, especially a long street fight, I'm always reminded of Any Which Way But Loose with Clint Eastwood.
Classic.
Where they would have these long, drawn-out fights going through the neighborhood, going through the city that were completely unrealistic. Yeah. So in Rocky V, is this street fight a realistic fight?
It is, but it's not what we signed up for. Yeah. But, it's good, though. He's mentoring this young fighter who starts to believe there's a kind of a Don King character and he's trying to recruit him over, and then he turns on him. And so again, I want to go back and revisit it. It was something different. It was
I do need to revisit it. I absolutely do need to revisit Rocky V. It's been a very long time. The only thing I remember is him versus Tommy Morrison. I don't remember much else. I remember the street fight vaguely. Yeah, I got to revisit this one. And I'm when you said that he directed the first Rocky, and he comes back for 5. That's a big jump. He missed 2, he missed 3, he missed 4, and they have him back. I would love to hear how that conversation took place, where they're asking him, please come back to number 5.
Yeah, no, I would too, actually. I really would too. Okay. We should revisit it. I'm going to go back and kind of hit 1, 2, and 3 again, because I have most recently seen 4 and really enjoyed it. But there it is. Avildsen brought back in the franchise that he helped launch. That's kind of a cool story. Reuniting with Stallone. Now they're mega stars. I mean, Stallone, come on. He became an action hero icon. Him and Schwarzenegger were dominating the 80s. I've always liked Stallone. I love what he's done and given us and still giving us. And Avildsen, then goes and does The Power of One, 1992. Another boxing movie that has kind of ties to Karate Kid. So an English boy living in Africa during World War II, through his boxing prowess, becomes a symbol of hope in a time of war. Screenplay by Robert Mark Kamen. Mouth open, mouth ajar.
My jaw
Sal
is
Rodriguez.
Dropped. Jason, why am I just hearing about this now? You're telling me we have a motion picture that was written by Robert Mark Kamen and directed by John G. Avildsen, and I'm just hearing about this now?
Well, just remembering, because I'm sure on the filmography for Robert Mark Kamen, we discussed it. But that was years ago.
I'm a failure.
Stephen Dorff was the kid, and Morgan Freeman is also in it. I have to admit this right here and now.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I knew of it.
Jaw drop again.
This is like back on my radar. Like, you know what? I knew about it. I've seen it come on. I watched the trailer today and thought, oh my gosh, I'm probably going to love this movie.
Yeah.
So, gotta see it. Sal Rodriguez, Jason Connell, must go see.
It's a must see. But because I can only imagine that I'm gonna sit there, and you're gonna see these pieces of the Karate Kid.
Yes. Right. Elements.
Accidentally, whatever. These are from the creators of the Karate Kid. They got together, did another movie. Surely you're gonna see some little. You're gonna see the spirit of the Karate Kid, I would imagine.
Exactly. I don't usually do a filmography with posters, so sometimes I'm in sync and sometimes I'm behind. But there's The Power of One poster. And there's only one more before the documentary. And it's a movie I did see, and I really liked. And when I saw it, I didn't make the connection to Avildsen, and that is, poster please, 8 Seconds, 1994. Based on a true story, the film chronicles the life of Lane Frost, the 1987 PRCA bull riding world champion, his marriage, and his friendships with Tough Hedeman, 3-time world champion, and Cody Lambert. So I didn't know of the real-life Lane Frost at the time, but Avildsen, sprinkling his magic dust on this, made a very powerful movie. Luke Perry plays Lane Frost. He befriends Stephen Baldwin. And so, well, spoiler alert, Lane Frost dies.
Thanks.
Bull riding. Thanks, bro. No, it's well documented.
Okay.
And then not Spielberg, but
wait,
Stephen
he dies
Baldwin,
bull riding?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! So this must have been
friend
captured on video.
Goes on. It probably is. So this is. I saw it when it came out, 1994. I've never done a deep dive into Lane Frost beyond what the movie showed me, and I read. So there probably is all this old footage of some sort. It's a different time.
Yeah.
But then his friend goes on and becomes a champion too, and it's powerful. I really enjoyed it. Now, does it hold up? I don't know. I saw it in 94.
You know what, Jason? I'm thinking of Top Gun. Like it's almost like got a Top Gun quality.
It has that element. It has that quality. Yeah, written by Robert. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, but that's so. There are some takeaways. Avildsen gave us 2 masterpieces, Rocky, The Karate Kid, created sequels and spinoffs and everything else, and some other very enjoyable movies along the way, and others I didn't mention because we could just be talking forever. But these were the bigger ones, and had he lived longer, maybe even more, but he left us plenty. And this documentary, which we're also going to watch, and we're going to show the trailer, I'm telling you, I'm going to be in tears just watching this documentary. Just the power of it, the people speaking, about how moved they were by his movies, and just the genius of Avildsen. But anything else you want to add before we cue up the trailer?
No, well, I've got a few things on my to-watch list.
Yeah, you do.
And I don't know, a little disappointed in myself. I mean, I should be, as co-host of Let's Talk Cobra Kai, you would think I'd be a little more up to speed on these things.
That's okay. That's okay, Sal. Thanks. All right. It's an education for you tonight. Here is the poster. Really cool, if you can see that. Describe that, Sal. Can you see it?
Yeah, let me blow you up here a little bit. What we have is Daniel-san.
Yes.
Up on the, what is it, some sort of beam at the beach doing the crane. We have Daniel-san practicing the crane on the beam of wood at the beach in the word king of the underdogs.
And then down below?
That I cannot see. Oh, you have Rocky in the end with his arms raised. Okay, so you have his 2 most iconic characters there. Daniel LaRusso and, of course, Rocky Balboa there with the arms raised in the end. So, yeah, that pretty much says it all. Like, no, when I saw this, again, jaw drop. I said, I need to see this. Why haven't I seen this?
Yeah, Sal, why haven't you seen this? But
lame.
The name of the documentary is John G. Avildsen, King of the Underdogs. Came out in 2017, directed by Derek Wayne Johnson. The synopsis is an examination of the Oscar-winning director who brought to life some of cinema's most beloved motion pictures. Very true. Let's play the trailer and talk a little bit more before we sign off on this memorable episode. Sound.
He was pretty self-confident and he had an opinion. He was feisty. He wasn't about to be bullied by anybody.
But he was an arrogant son of a bitch.
He knew what he was doing from, front to back, from beginning to end.
John Avildsen got what filmmaking was about and what story was about.
He understands those moments that are really deciding factors. So what better artist than John Avildsen to be working with those stories?
There was no doubt that John would go on to become very, very important filmmaker.
He was one of the great directors of the 70s and 80s. This was a guy who was right there.
Through the film, the legacy of the filmmaker lives. I think that's the case with John Avildsen.
It's safe to say that John's sort of the king of the underdog story.
The underdog is a story that most of us can relate to. I don't go out of my way looking for those stories, but when they come my way, and if they're good, I respond to them.
I couldn't have found a better director for Rocky. There's no way. He's perfect.
Jason, what platform can we see this on?
Hang on, let me switch this over.
Hope it's on Amazon Prime. I have Amazon Prime right now.
We're going to stream it right now for our listeners.
Let's do a scene-by-scene breakdown.
I believe it's on Apple to buy. I'd have to check. I'm now going to add this to my library, no doubt about it. Quickly, I've lost your video, by the way.
Okay, that's why I missed the old Blockbuster days, because you see a movie.
No, I've lost your video. So I'm
How about my audio?
I can hear you, so we're just going to keep going. It's not come back on, so go back to Blockbuster. Go ahead, continue.
That's why I miss the days of Blockbuster, because you see a movie you like, you go to Blockbuster, you rent it. Okay, fine. Oh, we don't have it right now. Okay, I'll be back in a couple of days. You're back in a couple of days, and there it is. Every movie was available for rent at some point, but unfortunately today, not every movie is available for rent, and actually not every movie is available for even purchase, because I've been seeing a lot lately, currently unavailable. So some of these movies just kind of end up lost, it seems.
Yeah. Someone's keeping them at their house.
I think they are under their mattress.
That's a crime, Sal. That's an episode of That's a Crime.
I got to see this movie, King of the Underdogs.
Yes,
that's
it
a
looks
must-see.
Amazing.
It's a must-see for us.
Worked up
for sure.
For fans.
Any fan of Karate Kid, any fan of Rocky, this is a must-see for sure.
Absolutely, and it looks like they did a great job. They've covered it. What great talent to come on and talk. So,
Scorsese's honoring you.
Scorsese, forget about it.
I wish John Avildsen could see that. That's what I mean. When it comes to me being sad about someone dying, a lot of it has to do with if there's something wonderful happening and they don't get to see it. He didn't get to see Scorsese honor him. He didn't get to see Cobra Kai. I get sad when I think about the things that person missed that are honoring to them.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, and it's sad, but he does. He's in there. His presence is in the documentary. His own words. I appreciate when they do that.
Okay, so he did get to see Scorsese honoring him, and hopefully,
no,
that's great.
we don't. No, I didn't say that. I said he's in there because they interview or they pull old clips or something. So I'm not sure of the technique, so I can't say that for certain.
No,
but I'm sure him and Scorsese had conversations over the years. So
I was thinking, I hope he didn't pass away before he got to see the documentary.
Well, I have some news on that, but hang with me. So I have a little trivia here, just a little things I saved for the end, which I typically do on Let's Talk Movies, but. Okay, so Avildsen was going to direct Serpico, 1973, Al Pacino movie, classic, but was replaced before filming due to differences with the producer. So there's that. Because I'm always intrigued, like what actors were going to do these roles and what directors were going to do that. So Serpico, that would have been a different movie, but still, I loved learning this about him. Avildsen, that is, declined to direct Rocky II, 1979.
I don't know why.
You're coming off a movie of that prestige. You've won Best Director. The movie's won Best Picture. All these accolades. Some people don't want to go right back into it and test fate. Stallone did, but it was a different beat, and he didn't direct the first one. So maybe he just was like, you know what? I'm going to pump the brakes and try something different. I don't think it was a creative difference. Just sometimes people aren't ready. He was ready by the time The Karate Kid Part 2 came out. Maybe he said, hey, I learned my mistake last time. I'm in. Who knows? He was the original director of Saturday Night Fever, 1977, but pulled out. He was replaced by John Badham. And I knew this, and that's fascinating to me, that can happen. Like, I'm in, oh, no, I'm out, and I don't know why. That was 1977, so that was before Rocky II, but interesting nonetheless. Avildsen also directed 7 actors to Oscar nominations: Jack Lemmon, Jack Gilford, Burgess Meredith, Sylvester Stallone, Talia Shire, Pat Morita, and Burt Young. Lemmon won Best Actor prizes for Save the Tiger 1973, which is a movie he did before Rocky, which looks pretty good, by the way. You still there?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about all the stuff I need to see.
You're making a list, a laundry list over there.
I got to see Save the Tiger. I do. 73. Yeah. You know what, Jason, before you and I even started podcasting,
yes,
I heard from a friend of a friend, who said, he made this statement. He said, the 70s was the best era of movies.
I always say that.
I know, but even before you said it, other people said
no,
it.
I'm not.
You're not the only person who thinks that.
No, I don't think
a lot of people think that.
A lot of people. It was a golden age.
But now I'm learning that. Like, oh yeah, I think they're right, is what I'm thinking.
Now to end on a little bit of sadness, but we just reminisced about this movie or highlighted this movie. Avildsen died a month and a half before the release of the documentary.
Oh, I hate
King
that.
of the Underdogs. John G. Avildsen, King of the Underdogs. And so we don't know. We don't know if he saw an early cut. We don't know. I'm sure him and the director, Derek Wayne Johnson, were in constant communication. He had pancreatic cancer, which is a terrible cancer to get. None of them are good, but that one in particular is bad and
you know
very
what it is
often
also?
fatal.
And very fast. It's one of the quickest.
Very fast. So we hope he didn't suffer too much. Hopefully it was just uplifting to know that this documentary was being made and all these people that he loved and admired and had relationships with wanted to be in it and sing his praises and just share. So, yeah, it makes me want to see this all the more and also visit and revisit some of these movies we just talked about tonight.
Oh, yeah. I definitely got to see some of these. I got to see the one that's written by Kamen as well.
Oh, yeah. Power of One. The Power of One.
And Jason, I got to say, because it jumps out at me as far as me being twice removed from John G. Avildsen, myself, via Luke Perry, who was directed by Avildsen in the 1994 movie 8 Seconds. I was an extra in Beverly Hills 90210. In fact, you brought to my attention a screenshot of me in the classroom near Luke Perry. From Luke Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah.
And then also there was one other name that jumped out at me, and that was, I'm going to find it. No, hang on. Bear with me.
Take your time.
There was one other name. Oh, okay. The other name I'm thinking is that I used to work out at the gym and have very pleasant conversations with John Badham. Now, it's kind of removed in the sense that... I
love John Badham.
Okay, but John Badham took over for John Avildsen. They maybe knew each other. They maybe chatted at one point. So I'll use that as another tie once removed with me and John Avildsen via John Badham and Saturday Night Fever. And me at the gym in Sherman Oaks.
I love it. Badham is now 84. He did movies like War Games, Blue Thunder, Short Circuit, Stakeout, Saturday Night Fever. So many of my faves. I'm a huge fan. So fascinated. I did not know that you met him. You met a lot of people when you were working at the gym back in the day. I gotta say.
The gyms, I spent many years working in gyms on Ventura Boulevard, Studio City, Sherman Oaks, Encino. And you know what? A lot of celebs live in that area. All my life growing up in Los Angeles, I saw more celebs in the San Fernando Valley than I ever did over the hill in Los Angeles or West Hollywood.
Wow. Well, John G. Avildsen, your spirit and movies will live on forever. And thank you for giving us all that you gave us. And we will come back and enjoy them, revisit them, talk about them, any and everything. And this has been a real pleasure doing a filmography on John G. Avildsen, director of The Karate Kid.
Yeah, very excited and honored. Thanks, Jason, for having me. John G. Avildsen, rest in peace. Thank you for all that you've given us. I want an action figure. I want a John G. Avildsen action figure. And let me tell you something. Some of you may not know the toy industry. You may think, well, that's kind of obscure. No, it's not. Believe me, it's entirely possible they could one day release an action figure honoring John G. Avildsen, and I am here with dollars in hand, ready for it.
I really like it. I think it's a 4-pack. Or 5-pack. It's got John G. Avildsen in it. You have Rocky Balboa, Apollo Creed, and then you have Daniellarusso and Mr. Miyagi. It's a 5-pack by NECA. And Avildsen, you know, he could have the whole film thing going on, right? He is the director in the pack, right? And then he could be directing them, and you could play with him, interacting. No, Karate Kid. I said like the crane kick, and then he could just have fun, like you're making the movies. Come on, Stallone, really hit him this time. Really hit Apollo this time. I don't think he talks like an Australian guy, but I still think I would have a lot of fun. So I think it could happen, Sal. Call NECA. Let's get this greenlit. 5-pack.
We'll see what companies we can get involved in this. But no, I'm on board for that. Very excited to learn more. I'm still learning more about John G. Avildsen. Here we are. Look at all we've been through, Jason, you and I, with Let's Talk Cobra Kai. All the rabbit holes we've gone down, and I'm still learning about our director, John G. Avildsen. So very excited to be here and excited to learn even more.
So thank you so much for listening, and please be sure to subscribe to the Let's Talk Cobra Kai podcast and the Let's Talk Cobra Kai YouTube live channel. You can also really help us by giving the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast.
And for all you listeners that enjoy sharing your thoughts, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, send us a direct message, or post a comment on any Let's Talk Cobra Kai social media platform.
We also highly recommend checking out our other podcast and visiting Just Curious Media.
No mercy.